Hello everybody, we are here with a timeless reading. Before we get started with the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with the highest good. Alright, I'm seeing a little bit of turbulence. Just a little bit. It feels like a part of the journey that gets a little bit tricky, a little bit complicated, but that's not going to be a long-term thing. Feels like just a moment. The way that I'm seeing the energy right now is that there's a part of you that you're connecting with right now that's sort of stepping forward, because we're so multifaceted and we're connected with so many different pieces that make up like the sum total. Right now, what's coming to the front is your ability to use your discernment, to think things through, to read things through, to not just give automatic answers. It's the power that you find in pausing as well. So it's about connecting with what your intuition is telling you, and it's also about not having these like knee-jerk reactions to things, meaning like something or someone could be coming in and presenting to you. You may want to sit with this for a minute and decide what you want to do about that. This can also be the part of you, two different parts of you, right, that you're getting to try to work together, and one part can be this piece of you that may do things more impulsively and in a way where there's like less of a thought about your future maybe, or even your short-term future. And then there's this other part of you that's like, okay, we need to sort of like slow things down. I'm hearing walk it down. It feels like rather than running, slowing things down to the pace of a walk to kind of move through this part right now. Because there's always a time and place. Like sometimes it's like, okay, what's your gut saying? You act on it right now. Let's go ahead with this. Like you don't really need to think this through. Just move with it. Right now feels like a more like intellectual part that you're leaning into, where you need to use your discernment. Boundaries may be important for you right now, to not allow something to sort of trample across the progress that trample upon the progress that you've been making. And it's also to really connect to with what your higher self, what the high priestess is communicating with you, because we all have the high priestess within us. It's about connecting with that part. And if you were to take action quickly and do it from a lower chakra standpoint, it may yield a result that would be less favorable than the result you would have if you take the time right now to sort of sit with this. I'm seeing this have to do with somebody around you or people around you. This looks like a social thing. So I'm not seeing this doesn't look like a romantic situation or like a partnership, and it doesn't necessarily look like a work situation. This feels more like the people around you using your discernment with how you're utilizing your energy socially. Because there may be something that you were doing that, for some of you, this can just be who you're choosing to spend time with frequency-wise. And maybe you feel like it's time to sort of set ground rules with someone, or it can be multiple people. The number doesn't really matter. It's more so about what's happening. So for some of you, this can be like a friend that you're going to be setting boundaries with, or being like, oh, I'm actually not really comfortable with that, you know, something like this, or I'm not really into that anymore, you know, whatever it is. For some of you, it can be like a group of people that this needs to be For some of you, I'm seeing you're like weeding out who you're spending time with. I also want to say this too. When we talk about who you're socializing with, it doesn't just have to be like people in physical form that you're connecting with. This can be like who you're spending time with, like on like their social media accounts, you know? Because that's also socializing as well. So I'm seeing something is happening when it comes to like how you're socializing, whom you're socializing with, who's actively playing a role in your life and also like creating some sort of influence as well. I'm hearing the word migrating. Something is unclear here. I feel like this is something that's unclear because of your attachment to certain things and certain people. So this is also about zooming out and seeing from a higher standpoint here. It's like, what's motivating you to socialize with who you're socializing with? Because right now you may be at the point where you're figuring out maybe like what types of friends you want, stuff like that, who you want to be spending your time with. And you could be at a spot too where you're trying to like, I'm hearing socialize, use your intuition, but you could still be unclear on like what it's telling you. Like, is it saying it's okay for me to be around this person? Is it saying maybe now's not the time to be exchanging energy with them? So this is a bit of a it's a bit of a process here that you're going through. This is coming back to learning how to instinctively trust yourself as well, and to also understand what has been motivating you, because sometimes our shadow likes to be around certain people for certain reasons, and then you sort of walk away feeling like you need to clean your energy. And then you have other people that you're around that you're like, wow, I feel really seen and really respected. And like, I genuinely just have a good time and it doesn't bring about anxiety for me, like when I hang out with them. So this is just sort of, it feels like picking through. I'm getting somebody with like a basket of fruit that they're like separating here. So yeah, it's kind of like going through and figuring out who's relevant for right now for you, where you are. I don't like to speak in super definitive terms because things can change, you know. Sometimes somebody's not resonating with you and it's like 9 months later you guys are like back on the same timeline again and things are very smooth. So this doesn't have to be like you Xing people out or anything like that. It can be more so like, who would I actually prefer to be spending my time with? So rather than focusing on, I don't want to be around you, I don't want to be around you, it's like, who do you want to be around? So it's kind of like shifting the narrative and the focus energetically to like what feels inspiring to you and what you do want to do and who you do want to be around and what does feel exciting for you, or what does bring you peace or bring you the types of feelings that you want to be having. Like, which relationships facilitate that type of experience. And that's really going to be the compass for you here, it seems. The people around you that are sort of being the vehicle to elicit those emotions and experiences you want to be experiencing. And also doing what you need to do so you don't obligate yourself to be pulled into interactions that you don't want to be having, that you would not prefer to be having, and knowing that you get to choose. You don't have to participate in anything you don't want to participate in. It's all a choice. So that's also this reminding here that's happening as well, of you being like, wow, I really do have the choice of like whether or not I want to engage in this with this person at this time. It really feels like calling your social energy back to you. Trust your gut, trust your instinct. Your intuition may be telling you something, and there can be part of you that maybe is not listening. When I say not listening, the only reason that would be happening, because you wouldn't be consciously like, I'm just not listening to what my intuition tells me. It's more so if you're in a space where you're not fully trusting that your intuition is like, here, you want to go this way because this is what we want, rather than going that way. You may not be listening to it. You may not be trusting it, and therefore not following through with what it's telling you. But I'm seeing you have strong instincts here. It's something that you're learning to connect with more and more. But yeah, I just get some sort of situation that's coming up for you that something super obvious may not have happened at this point, where you're like, wow, that's the biggest red flag I've ever seen in my life. It may be like little red flags that are popping up. Again, this has to do with something socially. This is like socially, friend groups, something like that, or like family members, acquaintances, even for some of you. I'm seeing you have a feeling about something, but you may have not exactly been able to like figure out what this is at this point. Meaning, you may not know why. You can have a feeling of, ooh, I feel like something's going on here, and I feel like I'm being sort of guided away from this, but I don't know what it is. Don't allow you not knowing what it is to be the thing that keeps you in that situation. Sometimes your intuition, it doesn't need to explain everything that's going on. It's just telling you this isn't the thing to be around. Go over there. Because I'm seeing something like this happening where your intuition is telling you something is going on that, like, spiritually, energetically, it's not sitting well with you. Pay attention to it. You're feeling it. You're not making it up. Even though I'm seeing something physically and obviously has not presented itself to you, but you're picking up on something very subtly here. Pay attention to it. It has to do with somebody around you. I will say this too, like, for those of you that you're like, who could this be? I have no idea. This part of the reading is not for you. Please do not take on something that it doesn't make sense immediately. If this reading resonates with you, you are going to know what this is. This is just going to be confirmation for you. I want to say that because I don't want to be having this translate in a way that's instilling any sort of paranoia. If you know that you've been like using your discernment, everything is cool with the people around you, you feel like trusting of everybody, don't go poking around like making a problem that's not there. However, for those of you that there's been something going on that feels like a subtle thing socially with like a friend or something like that, where you're like, I don't really know what exactly is going on here, but I feel like I'm supposed to sort of duck out of this right now, that's what this is about here. So this again will just be confirmation that, oh, this really is what my intuition has been telling me. It's just, again, going to be confirmation, okay? And always use that logic with the tarot readings, no matter who it is that you're connecting with. And it doesn't just have to be tarot readings, it's any sort of information. Just because somebody's saying it, it doesn't mean that that's true for you. It doesn't mean that that's your truth. You want to connect with it and always have something ring true as a confirmation, rather than like new information that you're being told that you're like not really sure whether or not that's resonating with you, because that may not be resonating with you at that point yet. So it may not be relevant relatively yet. I'm seeing there be like a higher frequency that you're connecting with when it comes to really what you're looking for emotion wise. This means like these types of relationships are really fulfilling to me, or being able to experience this type of intimacy is really what's going to make a relationship worth it to me. Whatever this is, like this emotional standard that you have, it seems like there's a relationship or maybe multiple relationships that are not reflective of that. And if you stick around, it seems like, when I say stick around, I mean like not setting boundaries or using your discernment. If that happens, it seems like there's something that your intuition is like, hey, I'm whispering, but like, can you hear me? Pay attention. Because your intuition is never going to like scream in your ear, you know, the way that your ego will. Your intuition will just be like, hey, I have a suggestion. I feel like something's going on here. And even though it hasn't presented itself in an obvious way, you're getting a feeling. You want to pay attention to that here. You want to trust yourself. Because there's something about removing yourself from a situation, and that's going to ensure that what you want actually does come to fruition, because it seems like something that you don't want could potentially manifest within this, with this person or these people. It can be a group of people for some of you, but yeah, it's something that you have a feeling about it. And you may not know exactly what it is, but there's just something that's not really sitting well with you, and you're picking up on something here. I want to say that again. You're not making this up. You're picking up on something that's telling you this is not the place for you to be in. Because what you're focused on is connecting with really what you desire to connect with. Rather than something that's going to fail to meet the mark. It may also feel like a whisper to you, because I'm getting these just like little nudges that you're getting. They may not be super, super obvious to you. These are very subtle moments that you're experiencing. Like very gently being guided through this situation here. Ask yourself what you want, what's aligned with like your dreams and your goals and the things that you really feel connected with, the things that you cherish, the things that are important to you, especially on an internal level, and also what feels most empowering to you. What allows you to feel the way that you want to be feeling? And is this situation that for you, or is it something else? And that's what's going to help you. I'm seeing there be a decision here that needs to be made. Something to, like, you need to make your mind up about something here. You pulling away sort of like into your own seems like it's really going to help you, because you may not have been seeing something as obviously as you will if you reflect on it. The way that, image wise, the way that I'm seeing this is like you were on the path and something started like pulling you off of it, and you're at that point where you're realizing that like it forms a Y, and you can either sort of like pull yourself back to where you were going before and stay on that path, or you're going to veer off in this direction, and it may not get you to where you're trying to go. You may want to like kind of steer back how you were doing things before. So it feels like the gravitational pull of this, or like the vibrational pull of this social situation, is again like pulling you off track. That's not to say that eventually it's not going to lead you back, but this is going to have you take a detour that may not be the most pleasant experience. Because some detours, it's like, wow, I'm glad that I took that trip. Like, it may have taken me a bit longer, and maybe you'll end up looking at this like that if you end up going in this direction anyway, from a zoomed out perspective. But what I'm seeing is that this detour that you're going on, immediately to you as you go through the experience, it's not going to be a super pleasant one. However, it's not the end of the world if you decide to continue going this way with like this person or this group of people, or doing whatever this is, this interaction. But it's definitely going to consist of more shadow work for you. Which again, like, none of this is the end of the world. It's never like that. It's like, if you want to go through something and have like a complicated situation, then that's what this is going to lead you towards. And if you're like, you know what, I'd really rather not experience that, and I want to get back on to that path that I was on before, then I'm going to sort of like do a U-turn here and go back on the path where I was. Because now that you're aware of this, it becomes a choice for you. And so now you get to choose. And that was the point of this, to lay it out in that way. Yeah, you just get to decide what you want to experience here. And now that you know, no matter which way you go, there's going to be growth anyway. The only deciding factor is that I'm seeing that this may be a less pleasant experience than if you were to sort of go back on track to where you were going before. That may be a more pleasant experience for you. But all in all, it's all your choice, and there's no like bad or good or anything like that. It's just more so like, what would you prefer? And that's your personal choice. Okay, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for connecting. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.